Welcome to Frank Faith. This is a forum where we get to discover God's truth together. I'm Carmelo. Today we're going to discuss Israel. What in the world is going on with Israel? Let's start with the origin of Israel. Israel came into a nation state about 4,000 years ago. If you're, in the scriptures, you got the book of Exodus, which talks about how God took the Jews out of Egypt, brought them out into the wilderness where they hung around for 40 years because they couldn't pull their heads out of their butts. Hey, you got cranial extraction issues, we all do. And then you have Joshua, who, after Moses died, a whole different issue, stories and whatnot, Joshua brought them into the land that is now called Israel. So following Joshua bringing the people into the land, you had a period known as the time of the Judges, where they were essentially ruling the Israeli people with God as their king. And one thing led to another. They ended up getting kings. First king was Saul, then everybody knows David, his son Solomon following him, and from the time of Solomon's son Rehoboam up until the Babylonian captivity, Israel was in fact two nations. There was a north, which was called Israel, and the south, which was called Judah. The Assyrians took the northern kingdom a couple of hundred years before Nebuchadnezzar came and removed the southern kingdom from the land. The reason they were removed from the land was because of their disobedience to God. Pure and simple, that's the bottom line. So Cyrus the Persian allows Israelites to come back 70 years after the captivity, which was prophesied by Jeremiah. And Darius and Xerxes and these guys, they helped them rebuild the temples and the walls and stuff in Jerusalem. And, obviously this is God's hand saying, yeah, it's going to happen, so you guys are going to help my people. Cool. But the thing is, from that moment on, Israel was never again a sovereign nation. Okay? It existed as a nation, but it was always under control. It was under the control of, first the Assyrians and the Babylonians, and then the Greeks, and then the Romans, the Babylonians, then the Persians, then the Greeks, then the Romans. And at the time of the Romans, which, 2,000 years ago, after Jesus was crucified and resurrected, 70 AD is when the Romans destroyed the temple. God was done with it. He didn't need it. The ultimate sacrifice was made, so the temple was gone. And approximately 130, I believe, AD, Emperor Hadrian decided to expel the remaining Jews out of the land, scattered them all over the place, and renamed that area Palestina, which today we get the term Palestine. The bottom line is there is no such thing as Palestine. It was a made-up word by, a Roman emperor. Israel, however, is not a made-up word. It is something that was created by God himself. So now you have, 2,000 years, essentially, 1,900 years, whatever it was, of dispersion. And in 1917, you had the Balfour Declaration. Well, at this point, the British were in control of the area and the land. You had the Ottomans before that, and there's a long history of the land itself. But Israel itself did not exist as a physical nation at that moment. Not until 1948, May 14th, I believe. Right after the Holocaust, World War II, a lot of people like to say, the powers that be, the politics and whatnot, decided it was time for Israel or the Jews to have their homeland. That was God's idea, and he talked about that way back. A couple few thousand years prior to that, he told everybody, I'm going to bring my people back to this land. I mean, there was an immediate attack on them. You know, the day that they declared their sovereignty in 1948, the United States was the very first country, and Truman, to his credit, immediately recognized Israel as a sovereign state. And of course, the Arab nations that were surrounding Israel were not very pleased. So they all attacked. You know, the history books, I'm not going to describe battles because I don't really know. But, you know, the Jews miraculously won. And of course it was miraculous because this is what God said was going to do. I mean, you had the 1967 war, you had the 1973 Yom Kippur War, you had the 2023, just a month ago-ish, 2 months ago almost now, wow. You know, these attempts to absolutely obliterate the Jewish people, not one has ever succeeded. Well, first of all, let's take a quick look here at the improbability of the existence of the Jewish people. There is no other people group on this planet that has, first of all, been so distinct, existed, had a homeland, and then got dispersed throughout the entire world, literally, all around the world. They still held on to their distinction, okay, as Jews. And now you have them all coming back into Israel, exactly as God said would happen. Now, how, you know, no other group has ever done that, has ever existed, ceased to exist, and then come back into existence, if you want to look at it that way. It's just, it's nuts. So here's the question: why Israel? Why did Hamas do what they did on October 7th? Do you really think they thought they were going to be able to, hey, let's go and wipe Israel off the map? Which is, listen, their own state of goal. From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. They want a Palestine with no Jews in it. Israel is to cease to exist. Okay, that's their motto. That's their in their charter. But they knew they are not going to wipe out Israel at this time. So why did they do this? Why did they attack? You can't tell me they did not know what the repercussions were going to be. Maybe they probably didn't expect it to be as severe as it was. Most assuredly, deservedly so. I mean, the bottom line is, in order for Israel to be safe, Hamas has to be exterminated. They cannot be permitted to exist. And it's an ideology. Now, these terrorists said that they all got to go, but you also got to fight this ideology, and here's where the problem comes in. This is a spiritual thing, okay? This is a purely satanic setup where Satan has been trying to destroy God's plan of redemption since it was, since the Garden of Eden. Satan is not a happy camper. He's wants Israel destroyed, and this is just. How can you describe what Hamas did on October 7th as anything other than demonic? I mean, just pure and simple. It's demonic. And Israel, not for nothing, but even as far as the world is concerned, they always held to a different standard. Israel, you have 1,400 people murdered, women, children, infants, beheaded, stabbed. I mean, burnt. It's just, and yet Israel is told to be proportionate in its response. I feel for all the civilians in Gaza being, that are dying. It sucks, but Hamas is using them. This is Hamas's fault, nobody else's. The bottom line is, Israel is being told that, they need to be proportionate. The world is trying to put a moral equivalency between Hamas and the innocent Jewish people. Unless I am no Israeli apologist either, okay? I am not saying that Israel is perfect. Far from it. But let's be real, man. No, nobody deserves this. What they've been going through. Um, they have no choice but to exterminate Hamas, and you have to exterminate that ideology. But it's not going to happen. There will be no peace in Israel, no matter what anybody tells you, no matter who thinks that they're going to pull this one off. Yeah, okay. Just like every other one, president or world leader tried to do for the past, I don't know, what are we looking at? 75 years? Right? Pushing 80 years, 70, 75 years. Um, it's not going to happen. Not until Jesus comes back. This has all been foretold. You know, everybody knows the Battle of Armageddon and all of that stuff. Well, you know what? That's when the peace will be there. Um, you right now, you have a serious issue coming up. Well, we as humans, unless the rapture happens soon, then it's going to be you guys that are not saved. Um, you're going to see Damascus. Let's start with Damascus. Syria is going to disappear. It's going to get obliterated. Don't know how. Don't know when. Don't. My guess would be probably through a nuclear detonation. I don't know. But the Bible in Isaiah 17, chapter 17, specifically talks about the complete and utter destruction of Damascus. It will be a ruin and it will never be inhabited again. Damascus being one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world, if not the oldest. And it's going to cease to exist. You have Russia, Iran, Turkey, Ethiopia, Libya. You're going to have a bunch of nations that are also going to come against Israel. And they're going to, cause some devastation, but they're going to get absolutely and completely annihilated. The bottom line is, you have this tremendously improbable, tiny little state, basically. It's like the size of New Jersey, for crying out loud. This tiny little thing in the most hostile neighborhood in the world. And every one of its neighbors hates them. All right? This is a spiritual issue here. And until Christ returns and brings everybody, or does what he's going to do, there will not be any peace there. There's not going to be any peace in Israel. There's going to come a time where they're going to think it's peace, and that's about when all these nations, Russia, Turkey, Iran, all of these guys are going to attack. Israel will think they're in peace. But here's the problem, and this is where I feel that the United States is heading, and it makes me sad for my country. I love this nation, born and raised here, and it's the greatest country God has ever permitted to exist. Let's be realistic. The peace, general peace that has been around the world, the fact that, the technology and that, just all of these things, all of the improvements, so-called improvements we've seen over the last 80 years, 70 years, has been due to the peace that has been enforced by the United States. Your shipping lanes and all of this other stuff. We ain't perfect, far from it. We have our issues, but we used to be a good, strong nation, a caring nation, and a nation that blessed Israel, very much so. Here's the problem. We haven't been doing that. All right, the last one that blessed Israel was Donald Trump when he moved the embassy into Jerusalem after recognizing Jerusalem as their capital. I don't think we're headed in a very good direction. The bottom line is Israel is the apple of God's eye. And way, way, way back, even to Abraham, God said to him, and this holds true through all of his descendants, God said, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. Right now, America is not blessing Israel. And I will go as far as to say that America is cursing Israel. So it's not looking good for my homeland. However, I have some phenomenally wonderful news. God is in absolute control. That's all there is to it. There is nothing that will ever happen, that has ever happened, that could ever happen that God is not aware of and that God can't just do with as he pleases. Romans 8:28, God works all things for the good of those who love him, for those who are called according to his purpose. I trust him. It's awesome. It's a phenomenally exciting time to be alive. Biblical prophecy is being fulfilled right before our eyes. It's just a really, really cool thing. I hope I might have answered some questions today. I hope that perhaps this video is a blessing to you. And until next time, may God bless you richly. Ciao. Hi, I'm Carmelo. I hope this video was a blessing to you. Please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, notification button. You will never miss any videos. Have a blessed day.